Showdown in Moscow. Hardline forces on the move. Backers of democracy take to the streets, and the world keeps a watchful eye. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. It is early morning in Moscow in what could be decisive hours. Apparently 3 leaders of the anti-Gorbachev coup suddenly are out, and a short time ago, gunfire was heard around Boris Yeltsin's Parliament fortress. Correspondent Anthony Mason in Moscow begins our reports.
Dan, events are occurring very rapidly and very dramatically at this moment. We have reports now that 3 people have been killed and another 12 people injured in a late-night movement of Soviet troops on the streets here in Moscow. Now, events began about 2.5 hours ago after an 11 o'clock curfew ordered today. Armored personnel carriers began moving through the streets. You're seeing pictures now of APC setting up a blockade outside of the CBS office here. Now, just down the road from that, on what's called the Garden Ring Road here in Moscow, a main artery, about a mile from here, very near the U.S. Embassy, and only 5 blocks from the Russian Parliament building, another blockade was set up. APCs reportedly fired into the air. Eyewitnesses saw the firing, but we're told now that 3 people during that exchange appear to have been killed, another 12 injured, including one person who was reportedly run over by a tank. Now, Soviet tanks are now reportedly outside of the Russian Parliament building. All of this caps a day of rising tension around what has become the center of resistance against the coup. The barricades around the Russian Parliament building were reinforced today as rumors swept through Moscow that tanks were on their way to seize the headquarters of Boris Yeltsin's determined resistance to the communist coup. The White Office tower, known as Yeltsin's White House, was still guarded by half a dozen tanks, some 20 armored vehicles, and a small corps of troops loyal to the Russian president. At midday, Yeltsin himself emerged to use the one weapon his rivals cannot claim: massive popular support. A sprawling crowd, tens of thousands, heard Yeltsin pledge, "We will hold out here as long as we have to remove this junta from power and bring it to justice." But the tension was visible as security men held bulletproof shields around Yeltsin to guard against any assassination attempt. On the White House balcony, former Foreign Minister Eduard Shevardnadze demanded to know, where is the president? Conflicting rumors had Mikhail Gorbachev either in Moscow or still under house arrest in the Crimea. Tanks continued to lurk on Moscow street corners, but in spite of the ban on rallies, troops made no move against protesters, acting for the moment more like tourist attractions. The independent radio station Echo Moscow, shut down by the KGB yesterday, went back on the air today, guarded by Yeltsin loyalists. But after urging Muscovites to defend the Parliament building, they were ordered off the air again. At the Parliament, people stockpiled Molotov cocktails, distributed gas masks, and stood guard, preparing for an attack. It's very serious, this policeman says, but we will defend ourselves. Inside the White House, deputies said the atmosphere was that of a civil war.
But I think they will lose because they don't have the people's support.
But once again, reports that 3 people have been killed tonight, another 12 injured, as Soviet troops have begun moving through the city. Joining me now on the telephone is CBS News' Tony Headley, who